I recognize a member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Before I begin, I would seek unanimous consent of the House to defer our lead on this throne speech debate.
The member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke is seeking unanimous consent to defer the lead. Agreed? Agreed. To the member.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and I thank the House for accommodating that. Our lead speaker will join the debate this afternoon. You know, I've listened to the Liberals speak, the government, which they decided that the throne speech wasn't worth an hour of debate on their part for the lead.
Wow.
Well, I would.
Wow.
This might be the only part of the day that we actually agree on that it wasn't worth an hour of debate. In fact, it wasn't worth a pinch of whatever they say back in the country there. It wasn't worth that for sure, Speaker. What a vacuous, empty throne speech we witnessed and listened to yesterday. An absolute waste of the legislature's time. You know what it was, Speaker? And look, I just barely get beginning, Speaker, and maybe they wanted to talk for the hour because they certainly seem to want to talk now. But I sat here politely and listened to their 40 minutes of nothing, and I barely get started, and the member from Ancaster, he woke up and he's on me. Well, my goodness gracious, certainly I'm glad that I could, I'm glad that I could, you know, rise them from their slumber here in the chamber this morning. But yeah, you know, when I listen to the Liberal speaker, it makes, I have to say, and I heard the Lieutenant Governor as she read the speech, and inside she must have been wondering, where have I heard, is this deja vu? Is like Yogi Berra, deja vu all over again? I've heard this song before. Time after time after time, you know. I know I'm exaggerating. And it's sort of like the pastor at church. He told us how, you know, children can sometimes exaggerate. And he was saying how his son says, "Oh, I've done this 100 times." To which he replied to his son, "Now I've told you about this 1,000 times." So we all tend to exaggerate from time to time, but that may have been an exaggeration that we've heard it hundreds of times, but we've certainly heard it before. What we heard yesterday, it was just like rewinding the tape. I know we don't use tape anymore, but if we did, that's what they'd have been doing, rewinding the tape. My wife would call that like the Vaika Paika, over and over again, over and over again. But it was a stark admission of the failure of this government for the past 15 years. I know the Lieutenant Governor reads the speech, but it's this Premier speech, and it's just the tradition. But she talked about how people are struggling in Ontario. Yes, you're right. They are struggling in Ontario. Let me just check my records here. Oh, October of 2003, the Liberals were elected government, and they've been running this province into the ground ever since. Yep. So if the people are struggling in Ontario, who do you think's to blame? Is it the opposition, who passes no legislation? Is it the opposition who makes no appointments to boards, agencies, boards, or commissions? Is it the opposition that appoints the deputy ministers and the assistant deputy ministers? No. So, if it's not us, who is it? I suspect it must be those folks over there, Speaker, that have been running this province into the ground for 15 years. And now they're talking about how people are struggling, and on the eve of our exit, we have found a conscience. We have found a soul, and we're going to take care. We have loved you all this time, but we've only begun to realize how deeply. And now we're going to fix everything. That's why we needed, in the greatest urgency in the history of mankind, to prorogue the Parliament and have a throne speech. Because we've got to tell the people of Ontario, we're sorry, and we're going to do better.
And we really mean
we really mean it this time. Just give us one more chance. Yes, we've been hosing you for 15 years. Yes, we've emptied your pockets to the point that the only thing left in them is lint. Yes, we've hollowed out the manufacturing sector in this province. Yes, we've put long-term care homes into a crisis, and also home care into a crisis, and hallway medicine, hallway health care. Yes, we've done all those, and we've got a list of scandals longer than Shaquille O'Neal's arm. But if you just put your trust in us one more time, we're going to do better. Just forget about that 15 years. Forget about all those scandals. Forget about 300% increases in hydro. Forget about it. What was that movie that Andy Garcia was in? Just forget about it.
forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah, we've been messing it up for 15 years, but forget about it. Forget about it. We're going to do better. Just give us one more chance, and we're going to do right. Well, Speaker, I don't know. I don't think they can fool you.
They might.
But they're going to try to fool the people of Ontario because they're hoping that they haven't been paying attention. You know what the people of Ontario were paying attention to last night? No. Well, you know, Premier Wynne calls a town hall, advertises it all across the creation.
On the taxpayers' dime.
On the taxpayers' dime.
Sure.
And she could barely draw flies.
Yeah.
Down to
Speaker.
political staffers and blood relatives over there.
Doug Ford, only
Rescue!
on
Here he comes.
2 days' notice,
Ready.
schedules a rally at the Congress Centre, and it was an overflowing crowd of over 2,000 people who have had enough of this government in Ontario.
Biggest crowd they've ever seen in Ontario.
They're going.
It was huge. Say the word huge.
Were you there, Taras?
Oh, no, I hear it. I hear
A
it.
lot of his union brothers were, I think.
Order, please. Order. Please address the Speaker.
Apparently, we don't only have the Liberals scared and nervous. They're a little nervous, too.
Oh, my God, bring it on. My goodness.
They're a little nervous, too. You see, because they're having this little game now between them about, okay, this is a new game in Ontario. Who can spend the most money in 20 minutes on the television? And it's a little fight between Kathleen Wynne and Andrea Horwath. Oh no, it's sort of like the reverse. You remember that television game show, Speaker? I'm not trying to date you or anything, but you remember that television game show, Name That Tune? I can name that tune in 4 notes. I can name that tune in 3 notes. Well, it's kind of a little reverse. I can spend $6 billion. I can spend 8. I can spend 10. It's going up. It's not less notes, it's more money. And every time they open their mouths, it's like, who is going to work harder to buy the votes of the people of Ontario? It's almost like a contest. It's almost like a contest about who's going to buy the votes and spend more of the taxpayers' hard-earned money that has to be paid back at some time. It's just like, it's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. It's not about responsible government. It's about offering the people anything they want with their own money, which they don't realize, for their votes. Yep, well, we didn't have that. So, it was never called that. It was never called that, Jeff. I say to Jeff, if you're going to be critical, you got to get it right. But, so, barrels of money. So let's talk a little bit about the promises in the throne speech. First of all, they're going to fix health care. So here we are, probably in the greatest crisis time in Ontario's healthcare history. More time, more people in hallways than ever before. Beds have been closed and people are in hallways. But now they're going to spend the money that's needed to fix it. In long-term care, we've got 34,000 people on the waiting list for long-term care. And just a few scant years ago, the Liberals, in their new caring strategy, announced that they were going to build 0 new long-term care beds. Wow. 0. Wow. Deb Matthews was the Minister of Health at the time, and they were going to build no new beds because they had a new, better, an aging strategy that did not require them to build new long-term care beds. And then we were wondering, what in the name of Sam Hill are they thinking? We've got an aging population, and the numbers of people that are entering their senior years are growing every year, and the level of acuity in our long-term care homes is getting higher and worse every year, and they're not going to build long-term care beds. Well, their strategy then was that, well, by the time we build them, the baby boomers going to have filtered their way through the system, and we're actually going to need less beds. That's small consolation to the people who actually need the beds now. Well, if we just wait till you die off, we're not going to need the beds. That was their thinking. Well, I won't need a bed after I'm dead either. I won't need this seat. I won't even need a bed at home. I won't need one anywhere. But if you're just waiting for me to die, you could be waiting a while. I hope. But, yeah. And then, all of a sudden, the Liberals realized, holy moly, we got an election in 2018. We got to come up with a new plan. So now, last year, we're building new beds. Hallelujah. Let the bells ring out and let the banners fly. We're going to build new beds. 10,000 beds over 30,000 beds over 10 years, I think it is now. Like the promises just have no limit. First, you're not building any beds, and now you're going to build 30,000 beds. After 15 years, I suspect the people of Ontario are on to you. They're not buying what you're selling. They have been fooled too many times by these Liberals. The promises that they continue to make are not resonating anymore, because for the people, it's just hollow talk. It's empty rhetoric. They don't view it as being credible anymore. They don't believe you. They do not believe this government. And that is something, Speaker, that when you've been in power for so long, I mean, we're all raised to believe that the government is there regardless of its political stripe, regardless of which political party holds the levers of power in any jurisdiction. In our Western democracies, we are conditioned to believe that they are there for us, the people. We, the people. We are conditioned to believe that government is there for us. They don't believe that about this government anymore. They don't believe that about this party. They believe that this party now exists to serve itself, to serve themselves, to serve their agenda. And whatever it takes, whatever message they have to disseminate to the people in order to get elected is the one that they will spread. I'd take a little more water, a couple more water if I could. Thank you.
He's just getting ramped up.
He's on a roll.
So you have to ask yourself, if this is where the people have landed, that they no longer believe in the government that is running the show in Ontario, It really is a sad day for democracy. But how did we get there? We didn't get there with 15 years of good government. And even if things do go wrong from time to time, it's not always the government's fault. But if the people would be able to sit back and say, you know, there was a lot of things happened that were beyond the control of the people in power, but we believe that they had our best interests in heart, but sometimes events are bigger than any government. But that's not where we are in Ontario. We've actually reached a point where political cynicism is at the highest level ever. And it is governments that run for the purpose of re-electing themselves that drives that cynicism to these new record levels.
And populism.
New record levels, the cynicism that exists in politics today. And you have to ask yourself, if only this government was actually acting in the best interest of the people as opposed to their own re-election plans. All you have to do, Speaker, is look at the last couple of years. Every bill that has been brought forward by this government, every initiative that they have brought or taken to the people of Ontario, every single thing. The acid test of whether it gets approved in the corner office on the second floor is one thing. Does this improve our chances on being elected or reduce our chances on being elected? If it passes the test and it says it improves our chances on being elected, that's the bill we've been debating in that House. Thank you very much. That is the initiative that will be put forward. But how is it possible, Speaker, and I say this from the point of view of any political party, how is it possible that the people's interest and the political party's interest are always aligned? It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter if you're Liberal, Conservative or NDP. But that's the basis on which this government has worked on in the past couple of years. There's only one test that must be passed, and that is, does it further our chance for re-election? Not will it have a detrimental long-term effect on the people of Ontario, not will it put us in a financial position that hamstrings future generations for decades to come. That is not the concern that they've ever asked themselves. They do not care what happens in Ontario over the next generation. They only care what happens in Ontario on June the 7th. And that is regrettable, because as people who are elected to this Assembly, we have to believe that acting in the best interest of the people we serve will ultimately be in our best interest as well. But the priority has to be the best interest of the people. The people first. The people first. And if you put the people first, I don't think you'll ever go wrong. Speaker, the things that, it's not just the big things, which I have a list here that, oh my God, it even pains me to read it. You know, the waste and the scandals of this government's 15 years in office is just $8 billion on e-health, and we still don't have it. $8 billion. $8 billion. Name the hospitals, Lou. $8 billion. What's going on in the hospital? I see the member for Northumberland is going on about hospitals. What's going on in our hospitals when we got people in hallways waiting for health care for days and days and days?
Order.
Get a long-term care bed because of you.
Order, please.
But anyway, Speaker, I'm almost out of time. So I'm almost out of time. But it's things. You know what really irks people? when there is no concern whatsoever for the taxpayers' money. Like this recent example. Has anybody seen that Ontario Cannabis Stores logo? $650,000 that could have been designed by a 4-year-old. $650,000 of the taxpayers' money. That is shameful. It's this kind of waste that is going to be the end, spell the end of this tired, out of touch, corrupt government in the province of Ontario. Thank you, Speaker.